I'm hearing anything there. Good afternoon and welcome to the Falkirk Stadium for the Scotland Under-23s latest friendly fixture, this time coming up against Czechia. This is the fourth camp that this side have put together for some of the brightest young talent on show in the SPL, knocking on the door to get into Pedro Martinez Los's Hero A squad. But first up, we've got the national anthems.
And now the national anthem of Scotland, Flower of Scotland. We welcome along to the Falkirk Stadium for this afternoon's women's under-23 friendly match. Scotland.
Two rousing renditions of the national anthems there. Yes, Scotland under-23s. Their latest fixture, this time against the Czech Republic. They showed some of their talent last Thursday against Belgium, drawing 2-2. UTs keen to show it again today. I believe it's the under-23's first ever match on Scottish soil. My name is Andrew Petrie. I'm joined by Joelle Murray. Before we get to the nitty-gritty, we'll have a look at the teams. Scotland makes 7 changes from last Thursday. Rachel Johnson is one of those in goal. For the back 4, Ailey Austin, Leah Eddy, Paige McAllister and Emma Lawton. Midfield 3 of Ailey Shore, Jenny Smith and Monica Forsyth. Front 3, Morgan Cross, Ailey Adams and Mia McCauley. On the bench for Scotland today, Erin Clackers, Jenna Penman, Jodie McCleary, Kathleen McGovern, Jasmine Bull, Maria McInerney, Tegan Bowie, Bailey Hutchison. It's a strong Czechia team they'll go up against. They'll take you through that as well. We think it'll be a 4-2-3-1, but first 5-10 minutes will hopefully gives a bit more of an indication. Adela Olkova is in goals with the back 4, Vanetta Buryanova, Natalie Trichkova, Teresa Moldalova, Anna Barkova, midfield 2 of Albina Goretkiova. The Falkirk Stadium, like I say, we'll try and take you through their formation a little bit later on, but Czechia, sort of similar reputation to Scotland, similarly placed in the world rankings, similarly just starting up an under-23 side that will look to progress their full A squad. Like I say, Scotland have only had 4 camps really with this age group, although plenty of age grade experience at under 17 and under 19 level throughout that side, as Paige McAllister rolls it across to Emma Lawton, who gets well down the left. A nice little 1-2. Tries to work it round the defender, just wins a throw. Emma Lawton, one of the more experienced players on the pitch. Of course, she's got Champions League experience as well now under her belt at Celtic this season, following her move from Partick Thistle, as Ailey Adams tries to turn. Doesn't quite come off, but another throw for Scotland, a little bit of early pressure. Just cleared away on the edge of the box. Ailey Shore puts it back into a dangerous position. It's bouncing around. Ailey Adams trying to work a shooting opportunity. Comes to Jenny Smith, has a go for goal. Just maybe could have worked that ball to Morgan Cross, but it sat up kindly for the Celtic midfielder. Just straight at the goalkeeper. And a good early start from Scotland, and maybe seeing the early tactics of Emma Lawton just bombing down that left-hand side.
Yeah, fantastic start from Scotland. Like you said, down that left-hand side, Emma Lawton and Mia McCauley striking up a fantastic early partnership. Really nice combinations, getting beyond the Czechia backline. But like you said, a promising start. We started on the front foot, getting a nice early shot away there from Jenny Smith. probably could have squared it to Morgan Cross outside of her, but there's plenty time to do more of that.
There's Anna Barkova, one of the Sparta Prague players in the squad. Poor touch from Olodolova. Another early chance for Scotland from the set piece. Hayley Austin with number 4 on her back. Tries to find Ailey Adams. Austin goes down and wins the foul. The referee awards the free kick. The referee, Abby Hendry, assisted by Vicky Allen and Vicky Robertson as well. Scottish officiating team. It will be Mia Macaulay, you'd imagine, to whip this one in. You can see Flame at Grangemouth in the background, but can Mia Macaulay light the spark for Scotland? A decent ball in. It's onto just about the penalty spot. Drops awkwardly. And Czechia tried to come away. That's a lovely touch from Zufankova. Driving over the halfway line. Emma Lofton tries to close her down. Does well. It was an awkward challenge though. And Jana Zufankova was left in a heap on the deck. I think Emma Lofton trying to decide whether to come or go there, but a good decision in the end.
Yeah, really good decision in the end. Relieved that pressure from the blistering pace of the Czechia player, and that's the threat that they possess. So we really need to be mindful that we don't overcommit in those attacking moments and get caught on the counter attack like we almost did there.
Yes, in that Czechia attack they have Klara Zverchkova, a striker who made her full debut back in 2021, scoring against Cyprus. She's got 13 caps for the national side. She's in their under-23 squad today, as is Anna Shubertova, number 15. Who's playing in a more midfield role. She's just on the edge of the box at the moment as Czechia have this throw deep in Scotland's territory. Ailey Shore with the header. Monica Forsyth just shoved a little too hard there. Scotland win the free kick. First touch of the ball for Rachel Johnson on her under-23 debut. It's been Erin Clacker's shirt so far. Of course, Erin Clacker's played against Belgium as well, and she's enjoying an impressive season at Hibs as well. Over 100 appearances for Glasgow City, but she had to make the move on loan across the Meadowbank to try and get more game time, and that can probably only be a good thing for Scotland.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. I think Erin was in an unfortunate position at Glasgow City, having to compete with the current Scotland number 1 and Lee Gibson. So she made the move, and I knew the quality that Erin possessed watching her from afar, but it's kind of cemented just how good she is, seeing her day in, day out, doing her business on the training pitch and on a match day, and she really has a fantastic potential, and certainly, in my opinion, will no doubt be Scotland number 1 in a couple of years to come.
Of course, our competition for that will be today's keeper Rachel Johnson, who faced stiff competition at Hearts as well, and so far she's been sharing goalkeeping duties with Charlotte Parker-Smith, who's been one of the most impressive keepers in the SWPL in recent years. Just tells you how well Rachel Johnson's done since coming in and really winning that number 1 spot. Played most of Hearts' games so far this season as they continue their slightly unexpected tilt at the SWPL title. Still early on though as Czechia come forward. It's well cleared by Leah Eddy. Morgan Cross gets the touch, but it just breaks for Anna Barkova. And Scotland just able to get their foot back on the ball as Czechia try and show for the first time in this match what they're capable of. That's a brilliant touch away from Shubertova. She's into the box. She gets it across. Rachel Johnston holds well. And that was the first chance for the visitors. Brilliant play from Anna Shubertova on the left-hand side, putting that ball into a really dangerous area. Rachel Johnson had to look alive.
And she certainly did that. A situation that, and an opportunity that came about from Ailey Austin not controlling the ball as she would have liked. The Czechia player capitalising on that, and like I said, Rachel Johnston, Mia McCauley in here at the moment actually.
It's a brilliant ball from Lawton and a brilliant finish from Mia McCauley. Two of the brightest young talents in Scotland combined. Both sides of the Old Firm joining up there. Brilliant ball over the top for Emma Lawton. Mia McCauley always looked like she had the pace to get in behind. She took a brilliant touch and followed it up with a fantastic finish under the goalkeeper to give Scotland the lead. 1-0 Scotland at Falkirk.
Yeah, fantastic finish from Mia McCauley. In those situations, for being so young, she's such a confident and composed player. She loves to bring the ball back inside on that favoured right foot, and she's slotted very, very coolly and calmly down low beyond the goalkeeper.
Third goal at this age group for Mia McCauley. Scored a penalty against Denmark, and then that double header scored in the second game as well. She's been unbelievably impressive in her young career. Really shining in a Rangers team full of stars after her breakthrough in 2023. And it was probably no surprise to see her get that call up last summer in the European qualifiers for Scotland. I know it was injury cover, but still, I think Pedro Martinez-Losa probably had Mia McCauley on his radar for some time.
Yeah, absolutely. Mia's a fantastic player. She has talent in abundance, and I don't think it'll be long before she makes that breakthrough in the full A squad. She's a fantastic player, like I said, and we're truly blessed.
Oh, Czechia hit the bar. Rachel Johnston could only watch on. A real chance for Klara Sverchkova there. The ball just sat up kindly for her. She kind of looped the volley. Looked for a second like it was going over, but just dipped at the last second. Rachel Johnston could only watch as it crashed off the crossbar and then looped out of play. That's just the danger that Czechia have.
Yeah, that's the danger. That's two opportunities now that they've tried to capitalise on and been so close. So we need to be mindful of those, as I said earlier, defensive situations. We have creativity, we have pace and abundance in the attacking third, but certainly we need to stay focused and switch on defensively as well.
Well, Ailey Austin really made her Rangers breakthrough last season. She's made a couple of starts so far this year. But it's a hard back line to break into. Well, Leah Eddy, Scotland's captain today, has certainly done that since she made her move across the M8 this summer. Almost ever present for Joe Potter's side since she moved from Hibs, slotting in next to Cathy Hill, who has of course once again been named in the Scotland squad. Chance there for Scotland as Morgan Cross tried to collect. It was good play though. Teresa Chernup, number 13. As Jenny Smith does well to work that back to Leah Eddy. I suppose, Joel, how big a loss has Leah Eddy been to Hibs, and how impressed have you been with the start that she's made to life at Rangers?
Yeah, she's been a big loss. We always knew she would when we knew the interest was there from Rangers, and when the deal was kind of signed, sealed and delivered. So we knew she would be a loss. She's a quality player, a fantastic individual, and our loss is obviously Rangers' gain, and she's slotted in really, really well into that back line at Rangers. She had some reservations. That shows you the type of person she is. She had her reservations whether she would be capable of doing that, but I had no doubt that she would do it. As I say, the quality that she possesses, the player she is, I knew that she would, if it wasn't in the first phase, I knew she would break into that back line, and she's done that and cemented her place there.
Of course, with Rachel Corsy's injury for Scotland, it was interesting to see who would get the call up. In the end, it was Cathy Hill. Jenna Clark and Sophie Howard, the other options for Scotland. Of course, they're playing on Tuesday night, that second leg of the playoff, the first round of playoffs against Hungary. Good play from Morgan Cross to work the ball to Ailey Short. Just sprays the ball out to Mia McCauley. just a heavy touch, couldn't quite get away from Natalie Trichkova. Just a goal kick to Czechia in the end. Yes, I've hinted at the game tomorrow night at Easter Road there, Joelle. I know you'll be part of BBC Sport Scotland's punditry team. How much of a chance do Scotland have? Obviously, they've got that 1-0 lead, but to go into the second round of playoffs.
Yeah, they've got a massive chance. I think what they need to do is, like I said on Friday evening during the commentary in the first leg, I don't think they performed to their capabilities, but it shows the sign of a really good team, Andrew, that they managed to come away with the win and not concede. So I think they need to approach the game as if it's the first leg, as if the scoreline is 0-0, and not take anything for granted. They do, of course, have home advantage on their side, and Pedro Martinez-Losa is extremely confident that advantage will see them through.
Well, extremely confident is one way of putting it. I think no way that Scotland will lose, is what he said to our reporter Amy Canavan out in Budapest. Yeah, really, really, really confident.
Yeah, I kind of raised a few eyebrows when that was probably heard and read in the media post-match, but yeah, that shows the confidence that he has in his players, and quite rightly so, because it's a squad, not just a starting 11, but a squad of players who play at the top end of the game. So yeah, the confidence is probably shared.
Well, Scotland up at the top end of the pitch. Morgan Cross just not able to control. Yes, the A side. Welcome back Caroline Weir, Real Madrid superstar, and young Manchester United starlet Emma Watson came off the bench. She has finally made her recovery from that ACL injury. There's a lot more talent for Pedro Martinez-Losa to call upon, and hopefully a big crowd tomorrow night at Easter Road as well. Emma Lawton, player who probably was linked actually with a full call-up as well. That's how impressive her start to life at Celtic has been. Scoring in Champions League playoff against Vorskla Poltava, and playing against Real Madrid in that 4-0 loss. Well, I watched that game. 4-0 was probably a bit harsh on Celtic. And it's Emma Lawton with the throw-in now. Forsyth touches back to Lawton, trying to find Ailey Adams. It's been a really open game so far on this massive pitch at Falkirk. Czech free kick. Scotland look to build on their 1-0 lead. How important is it, Joelle, to get that early goal, and how much of a boost will it give Mia Macaulay?
Yeah, it's really important to get the first goal so early in any game. I think it gives positivity, it gains momentum. And I think Mia Macaulay, like we spoke about earlier, is an absolute fantastic talent. She'll be delighted to get on the score sheet so early, and we'll be definitely hoping to add to that as the game progresses.
It was good play from Clara Sverchkova, holding off Jenny Smith as the ball gets played over the top. Rachel Johnson just comes out and she can gather quite comfortably as Jana Zufankova tries to close her down. Here's Paige McAllister, the only non-SWPL player in Scotland's starting 11, although she has had spells at Celtic, Motherwell and Hearts, and plying her trade in Sweden. The Eddie almost sold short there by Monica Forsyth. It's Teresa Cherna closing down. But calm and composed from the Eddie, and although she's not much older than her teammates out there, just showing a maturity at the back. Should be pleasing for Scotland's under-23 head coach Michael McCardle. Eddie up to Adams. Monica Forsyth's made the run, but Ailey Shore goes left instead. Brilliant touch from Macaulay, and again tries to play the 1-2 with Forsyth. Just didn't work. But a lovely flowing move from Scotland as Czechia threatened to counter. A real collision on that far side, but Jana Zufankova is still going. What pace she's got. And Emma Lawton does brilliantly to get back. Teresa Cherna was in the middle. Hayley Austin trying to cover, but Scotland saved by Emma Lawton there.
Yeah, it was a really good recovery there from Emma Lawton. Neither Emma Lawton or Leah Eddy are any slouches in a foot race, so that just shows you how quick that Czechia player is. But it shows you how aware, how switched on Emma Lawton is, recovering in behind there for Leah Eddy, who's had to come out wider than that central position, and relieves the pressure for Scotland, albeit gives away that corner.
It was Jana Zufankova, who's already showed her pace a couple of times in this game. Slavia Prague forward. Slavia, Czechia's domestic champions. Corner whipped in, Eddy, important header. It comes out, put back into a dangerous area by Anna Shubertova. But trickles wide in the end, quite comfortable for Scotland. So they look to build out from the back. Eddy lofting it forward to Morgan Cross, who's won the free kick there. Also joined Celtic the same day as Emma Lawton, transfer deadline day. Joining from Motherwell after an impressive season back in Scotland. She is one of those who chose a route stateside, went over to the University of South Alabama, playing for the Jaguars, scored plenty out there, and came back to Motherwell, came back to Lanarkshire and scored plenty there as well. I think she always really impressed whenever she played Celtic, so maybe no surprise that Elena Sadiku wanted to snap her up. She tried to beef out the Celtic squad. Of course, they've got Champions League duties to deal with now. It's Hayley Austin, gets down the line, good cross, Hayley Adams in there. Fresh air swipe, unfortunately, just put off by the Czech defender. Teresa Oladilova. That was a real chance for Hayley Adams. She scored plenty of goals early on this season for Hibs, and that was a chance to nab one for the under-23s.
Yeah, it was a really good chance for Hayley Adams. I think the defender done enough actually to put Hayley off, but what a fantastic ball down the line from Leah Eddy. Hayley Austin gets on the end of it, drives the byline and puts in a wonderful delivery, and as I say, the Czechia player, I think, given Hayley credit, I don't think she's missed that. I think it's the Czechia defender that's done really well to track the run and get across Hayley and essentially just putting her off.
It feels like Leah Eddy and Hayley Adams have been around for a long time, as Emma Lawton has a goal from distance. But really it was just because both of them broke through so young, especially Hayley Adams. As I say, 13 goals so far this season, only behind Katie Wilkinson. She's already been the SWPL Young Player of the Year back in 2021. And it really feels like this season she's really kicked on to even greater heights.
Yeah, I would certainly agree with that. I think she broke through at a really young age at the club, and deservedly so. She obtained the number 9 jersey for the club that she loves and supports, and that brings a lot of pressure, Andrew, and I think she's really dealt with that pressure well, and I think this season is the first season that we're truly seeing her potential in green and white.
And of course she's had to deal with competition. Kathleen McGovern was on the bench today for Scotland, and both Adams and McGovern have really shared attacking duties for Hibs so far this season. I suppose, is that just maybe a reaction from Hayley to that competition from Kathleen McGovern?
Yeah, probably. It's probably the first season with the first team that Hayley's had that kind of like for like competition. The competition between Hayley and McGov, who, like you said, is on the bench today, is a healthy competition. There's no animosity there, and I really do feel for Grant, because essentially he's the one that has the final say, the final decision on who starts. And when we start a 4-2-3-1 formation, you know that either one of them is going to miss out, unfortunately. So yeah, I think it's the healthy competition has probably brought out the best in Hayley Adams.
And of course, Hibs had to deal with the loss of the goals of Jorian Bauckham after she departed in the summer. There's been no problem for them there. Like I say, firmly in this title race, which now, I'd say, certainly has 5 horses in the SWPL. Hearts and Hibs really coming to the fore this year as the long ball comes over and finds Ailey Austin. Ailey Adams is free in the middle. That's a brilliant ball and a brilliant finish. The two Aileys combine, Austin to Adams, and Scotland double their lead at the Falkirk Stadium. And it's no surprise the Hibs striker getting on the score sheet for our country. A simple finish, and really it was put on a plate by Ailey Austin.
Yeah, it was. It was essentially a carbon copy of the situation moments ago with the outcome that we wanted, and right on cue as we've bigged her up, Ailey Adams gets the goal, the second goal for Scotland today.
A really impressive start this from Scotland. I'm sure Pedro Martinez Losa and probably the rest of the squad will be watching this with interest. Like I say, there is just so much talent in the SWPL, so much young talent as well. And it's getting a chance to shine today. Of course, Czechia have had their chances as well. Jana Zufinkova and Klara Sverchkova have shown how dangerous they can be. Scotland will need to be alert at the back, but they've been clinical at the top end of the pitch so far. Macaulay and Adams with the goals. I suppose this under-23 age group is still relatively new to Scotland. It's something that England and the US and the French national sides have been doing for a while, Joelle, but how important is it that Scotland are kind of jumping on that and giving these players an opportunity to play at international level?
Yeah, it's massively important. I think for so long we lost a lot of players, a lot of really good players, after they were too old for the under-19s because the gulf was just too big. I know that when Anna Signol and Anne-Helen Graham were in charge of the national team, they tried to implement this age group, and I think I was part of one of the squads. We had a few camps and then nothing more came of it. So I think it's massively important to nurture this young talent and really give them a platform to play on at this stage after that U19s age group.
There's a tough tackle going in there on Paige McAllister. Czechia trying to unlock the Scotland defence, just not happening. I was looking at the first under-23 side that was announced. It was back in November 2022, and really it was a full Scotland squad with a couple of youngsters in there. But since September 2023, it's been a quite core group of players that have remained for games against Australia, the Netherlands, Denmark, Belgium, and of course now Czechia. And they are all players who are playing pretty much week in, week out in the top flight of Scottish women's football. Macaulay, lovely touch away, and she's got plenty of room to run at this Czech defence. Jenny Smith is inside, but she works it out to Lawton. For Scythe. Good touch away. Jenny Smith works away. Alodalova gone down holding her face there. Abby Hendry will just stop play. I think Jenny Smith just maybe caught her with a hand or the arm just as she tried to swivel away from the challenge. Completely accidental, of course. The play had to be stopped, and it will restart with a Scotland drop ball. Ailey Austin just rework this. Monica Forsyth, the number 7 for Scotland, in the middle of the pitch today. She's been predominantly used as a right wing back for Hearts this season. But really, she did start as a midfielder, and she broke through at Celtic and then Hearts. And she's one of many players out there who have already overcome bad injuries to come back and play regular football in the SWPL 1. McAllister. Lawton making the run. The left, Macaulay coming in deep and just about getting away from the challenge of Albina Goretkiova, who has stayed down. Well, she flew into that challenge. Macaulay tried to sidestep it. I think she's ended up hurting herself instead, the Czech teenager. The physios will come on, and the Scotland squad will use that opportunity to take on a bit of water and take on some instruction as well from Michael McArdle. But it's been a solid start, 2-0 up. They've been tested a couple of times, but I'm sure Michael McArdle will be quite happy with the start Scotland have made.
Yeah, I think he'll be delighted with the start Scotland have made. He'll probably want and hope that Scotland can capitalise more on the possession. They've been very ball dominant so far in the first half, so he'll probably be asking his players for more opportunities in the final third, and just being ruthless and absolutely clinical. But I think for him the main thing is coming away with a clean sheet means they win the game and get home with a good camp up their sleeves.
You can see Albina Goretkiova with a towel across her face. Been a nasty one there. Doesn't look like there's a sub being ready just yet. I don't know how many subs we'll see for Scotland today, because like I say, 7 changes to the side that drew 2-2 with Belgium. Spoke to Leanne Crichton a little earlier on. She's one of the coaches for the under-23s. She was saying a number of changes and an opportunity for a couple of players, or just balancing game time for others, because so many of them have played so many minutes already so far this season. And certainly I know from having spoken to Kelly Clark, the Celtic captain, that just like in the men's game, the number of matches and the number of minutes is becoming an increasingly large talking point in the women's game. Leah Eddy goes long, looking for Mia Macaulay. Well dealt with by Natalie Trichkova, who's probably had a pretty tough afternoon already. She's still got plenty of it to go. Scotland just work it back to Leah Eddy. And now Albina Goretkiova is allowed back on the pitch, and she can play an immediate part in winning that ball back. That's a good ball to find Jana Sufinkova. Paige McAllister had to do really well. Bit of a strange opportunity, that one, for the Czechs.
Yeah, really strange one. Strange that the referee has allowed the player back onto the pitch in that situation. Difficult one for Leah Eddy. Probably should have known that the players on the sideline waiting to come on. However, probably didn't appreciate the referee would allow her on, given the play was developing down that side.
And Czechia just work it short. Cherna plays it in again. Cross trying to deal with it. It almost dropped kindly to Anna Shubertova. Important block in the end, though. Barkova to take the throw. She plays for Sparta Prague. And it is Sparta and Slavia who really dominate women's football as well as men's football in Czechia. They have won every single title there is to win. No one able to break up that duopoly so far. Reminds me of something in Scotland as Adela Holikova goes long. And Lawton just puts it out on that far side as the floodlights now on. Jenny Smith pushing up in attack. She's played quite close to Ailey Adams so far. Jenny Smith, another mid-move to Celtic, and has played at wing back. She's played through the middle as Ailey Adams has a chance now. The flag stayed down. No, it hasn't. Flag's gone up just as I said that on this near side. I thought that looked a bit a bit too good to be true for Ailey Adams. Just slightly mistiming the run there.
Yeah, and she absolutely doesn't need to do that. She can afford a yard on the defender because her pace is absolutely frightening. Her numbers week in, week out are crazy. Our energy, our high speed running is always through the roof. So she can almost afford that yard, give her that yard, give her that bit of security. So I'm sure, hopefully, when that situation arises again, she will be sensible enough to do so.
And this is just her first start at this age grade. She is 20, so she has qualified for the under-19s for quite a while. She's on the bench for that very first game against Australia in September 2023. It's good play from Gorekiova, back on the pitch after that head knock. She works it to Cherna. The offside flag now goes up against the Czechs. And they're not just going to lie down quietly and accept this 2-0 scoreline. They're desperately trying to come back into the game. Of course, the next goal absolutely crucial if Scotland can make it 3-0 and try and put this game to bed as early as possible, although I think Michael McArdle will want it to remain pretty competitive.
Yeah, I think so. The purpose of this age group is to be competitive, to learn, to develop, to appreciate different opponents and different situations. And like you said, I don't think they'll learn too much about kind of absolutely annihilating a team. So I think he'll face a little bit of adversity today, albeit still come away with the win.
And they look good for it so far as Eddie plays into Adams, the former teammates combining. McAllister. Lawton looking for Forsyth. Well cut out by Teresa Olidalova. Morgan Cross almost nipping in there though. Tadela Holikova able to sweep up. Klara Svrchkova just couldn't get to that. Like I say, the number 15. Sorry, that was Anna Shubertova. One of the two fully capped players of this Czech side. Lawton. Forsyth making the run through the middle. Lawton finds Smith, who had a bit of room. Now she does try the shot. A stinging drive that Holikova does well to hold on to. I don't know if that ball could have just come to Jenny Smith just a little bit quicker. She got that drive away. Morgan Cross trying to press high up the pitch. Michael McArdle telling the side to keep going, keep that high press up as Macaulay wins it. Ailey Adams is free if she can get the ball across. And you can see the frustration of Mia Macaulay there. She knew that was a chance. Just kicking the advertising hoarding on the far side. Just couldn't keep the ball in. That high press of Scotland doing well.
Yeah, it's doing well. You can see the press and triggers are there. You can see on that occasion Monica Forsyth in the 10 jumping on that ball forward, and Ailey Adams and Jenny Smith occupying the edge of the 18 should it go to the centre back. So the high press really, really effective in the first half so far, Andrew.
I touched on it there. Jenny Smith's got 10 on her back today. Do you think that's her best position for Celtic and Scotland in the middle of the midfield, or is her versatility one of her kind of key talents? Do you think she's decent out on the wings as well?
I think it's difficult. I think when you're so versatile. Oh, here we go.
Almost a chance there for Jana Zifankova. The Czechs almost closed down Rachel Johnson, but calm and composed from Scotland's number 1 today.
Yeah, I think as I was saying there, Andrew, I think you like to be a bit versatile as a player. However, in my opinion, not too much, because you almost then don't cement down a place and position and make it your own. And I think Jenny Smith has predominantly played her career in that central area, and she always gives you a really good, dominant, aggressive performance in there. So I always like to see her in the 10 because I think she's got capabilities to defend out of possession, but in possession she just comes alive. So yeah, I always like to see her in the central area on the pitch.
And another player who is kind of going through the same thing at Celtic at the moment as probably Maria McInerney. She can play across the defence, she can play across the midfield, she can probably play across the front three as well. Where do you see her best position, and do you think we'll see her coming on for Scotland later today?
Yeah, I'd like to see Maria take to the pitch today, because I think she's been another player who's kind of, her versatility has potentially been her downfall over the last couple of seasons, because she hasn't cemented a set position on the pitch. But I think for me, I like her in that wing back position for Celtic. She's obviously left-footed, which natural left-footers are hard to come by. So I think that's a huge asset for Celtic, and you can see that, and then keeping her and constantly keeping her within the squad and within the club.
Just goes out on the far side. Anna Barkova not able to keep it in for Czechia. Hayley Austin, another very versatile player, but seems to really have found her place in defence for Rangers. She can play on the right, she can play in the middle. She's on the right today. Another who benefited as well from a spell on loan slightly lower down in the SWPL was at Hamilton Accies, where she really got her chance. Came back to Rangers and, like I say, broke into Joe Potter's first team. Johnston, who's probably the most far-flung player in this Scottish side, hailing from the Isle of Lewis. Started playing football as an outfield player for Stornoway's under-15s boys side. Now she's in goals for Scotland. And of course, she's another who has received a full call-up. That was back in 2022. She was still a teenager at Celtic for the Pinatar Cup, in place of her then Celtic teammate Chloe Logan, who suffered an injury. She's played in some pretty big games already in her career, Rachel Johnston. Played in the cup final for Celtic a few years back. And how important is it for young Scottish players to have those kind of showpiece events in their locker? She's already played at Hampden. That will surely have a huge impact on her career.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's massively important for young players to have that exposure, to have that kind of exposure to different opponents, adversities. And I think you mentioned there about her playing outfield in the early stages of her career, and I actually didn't know that, but now that kind of makes sense, because she is so comfortable and confident with the ball at her feet. And I think playing for her club Hearts, you can see that they're a team that likes to build from the back through the thirds, and she, when she starts, is absolutely crucial to that.
Hayley Shore, lovely touch to take the ball away from Garakiova. Macaulay got Smith inside. Forsyth in a bit of room if she goes back to the left, but instead she clips it over to Austin. One assist to her name already today. Smith looks backwards and just plays it straight to Jana Zufankova. Hayley Shore, really important tackle there in the middle of the pitch, an all-action midfielder, Hayley Shore, and she has slotted into life at Hearts absolutely perfectly after her summer move from Aberdeen. What a capture that was for Ava Olid. Hayley Shore and Bailey Hutchison, who's on the bench today, two of the best young talents in the SWPL last season, and I mean, look at the impact they've already had on Hearts, who are much further up the table, I think, than even maybe they thought they would be at this stage of the season.
Yeah, you're right. It was a really good capture from Hearts. They obviously have the Aberdeen connection, and Emma Hunter, who oversees their academy, Gavin Beath, who was their assistant.
Well, here's a chance for Morgan Cross. Just let it run. Tried to pull it back for Ailey Adams, but maybe just could have taken a touch further into the box a little sooner. The chance goes for Scotland.
Yeah, I think as I said, Andrew, the connection's there through Emma, who's still with Hearts, and Gavin, who's now in America, I think assisting Pauline McDonald. They obviously are familiar with Aberdeen, familiar with the players, and two players who obviously have ambitions to go full time and really kind of test themselves at the top, and two players that have absolutely hit the ground running at Hearts. Ailey Shore, an ever-present in the centre of the pitch, and Bailey Hutchison, when she's in the starting lineup, coming good almost always with goals.
Well, it took Bailey Hutchison a little longer to really break into that starting lineup, like you say, Joelle. But the last couple of games, she's really found her feet. 5 goals now for the Capital Club. It was 28 last season, the SWPL's top scorer, and playing for, I think it would be fair to say, not one of the best sides in the SWPL. So, you know, you're looking at those goals, those 28 goals last season, thinking, if she gets a good run for Hearts, how many can she score this year?
Yeah, absolutely. I think Hearts have an abundance of strikers, players who can play in that number 9 position, players with different qualities and attributes, and Bailey's just so clinical. Having played against her, she's so physical, she's hard to get the ball off because she pins you so fantastically well, and yeah, like you said, she's been clinical, she's got her goals, and quite rightly so.
Cherna just cutting out that pass from Scotland as the play became a little messy, a little chaotic, and that's probably where Czechia have actually thrived. Ball clipped over the top, the flag goes up though, denying Klara Sverchkova. But just a little reminder there for Scotland of what Czechia are capable of when they do hit you on the counter.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think again we need to ensure our focus in those transitional moments and not switch off, because I think the majority of the opportunities for Czechia have come from us being very wasteful in possession, so we need to tidy that up. I think if there's one thing that Michael McCardle will want to say at half time, it's exactly that. Be tidier on the ball and don't be wasteful and give any opportunity.
Ailey Adams wins the free kick there. Scotland maybe just want to create a little bit more for the Hibs striker. We've seen how deadly she can be from a couple of yards out. Long ball across, long diagonal ball from Eddie to Austin, the two Rangers teammates, but Austin just can't keep hold of it. She puts Cherna under pressure and wins it back. Ailey Shore offers quick. She's barged to the deck there by Gorekiova. Didn't look like all that much in that challenge. I didn't know if it was just good physicality from Gorekiova there, but Scotland win the free kick as the floodlights flicker in Falkirk. There will be another chance for Mia Macaulay to whip this ball in. Now, Joel, maybe you can tell me, what's Morgan Cross doing here? She stood offside by quite a few yards. What's the purpose of that?
Yeah, I don't know if it's just to cause a distraction, cause a decision. She'll obviously come back onside and then hope for the second ball, second phase, but it's probably more of a distraction and asking the question of the Czechia kind of defensive line more than anything, because when you saw the ball come in, there wasn't an intensity in her movement to get on the end of it.
Here's Mia Macaulay winning the ball back, crosses in, first time Morgan Cross is there, brilliant save, it comes back to Jenny Smith and saved again. Adela Holakova, she's been called into action a couple of times, but that's the best save she's made so far, denying Morgan Cross. Looking to get on the score sheet there, a brilliant ball to the back post from Mia Macaulay. So used to seeing her cut inside, but this time she went to the byline and whipped the delivery in. Cross unlucky, just couldn't force it home. A chance there for Scotland's third as Czechia respond by coming right back up the other end of the pitch. Ball comes into Tverkova, she goes down on the edge of the box under the challenge of Forsyth. And with just a few moments remaining of this first half, there's a chance from the set piece for Czechia.
Yeah, an unnecessary foul to give away from Monica Forsyth just outside the edge of the 18, and like you said, an opportunity for them to put a bit of pressure on Rachel Johnston's goal.
Well, it's a really inviting opportunity to go for goal. Rachel Johnston just positioned closer to her left-hand post. It ends up going way over at the bar, and that's the final action of the first half. First half that I imagine Scotland will be largely fairly comfortable with. They went ahead early doors through Mia Macaulay, the Rangers winger, getting on the end of an Emma Lawton through ball, taking a brilliant touch and finishing underneath the keeper. Scotland continued to attack after that, and it was no surprise to see Ailey Adams get herself on the score sheet. This time it was Ailey Austin down the right-hand side who got in behind the defence. She had two options in the middle, one of them Adams, and picked her out perfectly. A good finish from Adams as well. It gave Scotland a 2-0 lead, which they have hung on to until half-time. Good showing from the Scots in their first ever home game for the under-23s. At half-time, Falkirk Stadium, it's Scotland 2, Czechia 0.
That again.
Caroline, it's fantastic to see you back. Just try and sum up the emotions of coming back to Scotland and being back here in camp.
Yeah, honestly, it feels amazing to be back. I've been looking forward to this for the last couple of weeks. You know, I had my eye kind of on these fixtures way back when I first got injured. It felt like such a long time away, but here we are, just so happy to be back, you know, with the team in Scotland as well, wearing the tracksuit. It's just, yeah, it feels great.
And the suns came out for you today as well. You've been such a mainstay in this squad for such a long time. Just how hard has it been being away?
Yeah, it's been tough. You know, unfortunately, such a long injury, such a long process, many ups and downs, but I feel fortunate that I had lots of good people around me, and the rehab went as smoothly as it probably could have gone up to this point. So yeah, I'm just like really enjoying being back and training and playing matches, and you know, to represent Scotland, that is, you know, it's the highlight for me. So to miss out on a year of Scotland games was really tough, but the team has really grown in that time. I can see that. I was watching the games, and yeah, I feel like coming into this camp, massive games, but I feel like we're ready for them.
How much has this time away from the game, not just from Scotland but football generally, how much has it changed your perspective on the game and being back involved now?
Yeah, I think, you know, you have no choice but to have your perspective changed a little bit. You know, I'd never really had time injured at all. You know, Max was probably like 2 weeks out with little, you know, niggles, nothing serious, and then to go from that to having, you know, a serious knee injury and operation, it was a shock. I didn't know how I was going to deal with it, didn't know what to expect in the rehab. I didn't really know what rehab was really, which sounds silly, but I honestly didn't have a clue what I was in for, which is probably a good thing because it was tough. There were some tough moments, but at the same time there were some good moments too. you know, I had time away from football and maybe more time to see family and do other things. So that was nice. But no, I missed it a lot. Especially missed playing for Scotland, and yeah, it was a long year.
Does it kind of make you relish as well coming back in now? Do you feel different to the player that left a year ago?
I think so, yeah. I feel that I'm just appreciating things a little bit more than before, and the way the game has gone, the scheduling for the last 4 or 5 years, and especially last year for me, going to Madrid and playing like a 50-game season before I was injured and then starting a new season, like it was a lot of football. And you do just kind of go from game to game without really thinking too much about it. Whereas now I'm like, every single game, I'm just like buzzing to be there and to be around the team. That's a big one because rehab's a lonely place, and when I was doing rehab, a lot of the time my schedule didn't match with the team, so I was really in the gym by myself quite a lot. So just to be around the team and in that team environment, that's something I really missed. So yeah, I'm happy to be back in amongst all the banter again.
We go into these games as a group with 5 wins behind us, a really impressive qualification run. What was it like for you watching those games from afar?
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was great to see the team doing well. You know, I was, especially this last campaign, I thought the team had gone up a level in the way that they were trying to play, in the way they were approaching games and dealing with the moments. I thought like I could see a change, and I don't know if that's just experience or being together, being with the coaching staff, you know, for longer. So I really enjoyed just seeing the team progress, and obviously then to make these playoffs in the way we did, it gives us great confidence coming into these games. And like I said before, I just feel like the team is in a good spot. Like I feel like we're ready. And yeah, we're just excited to get going on Friday.
And your comeback coincides with some really important games, like you say. How motivational is it knowing how much these games mean?
Yeah, I think for me it's really come at a good time. You know, we didn't have the September camp, which we usually had. That might have been a little bit too early to have these games, but I've, you know, played 9 or 10 games with Real Madrid, big games too, Champions League, and you know, the Madrid derby the other week. So I've been involved in some big matches already, which is great, and that just makes me feel more ready. It gives me the confidence as well to know that I can kind of be at that level. So yeah, the games don't get bigger than this for us, and yeah, I'm really excited to be here and playing them, hopefully.
And you've already bagged a few goals at club since your return, not just any goals, one absolutely sensational strike as well. Coming back and scoring for you as a player, does that give you kind of more confidence coming back in that you are back?
Yeah, I think so, for sure. I think there's like, through the rehab, you know, when you can't walk, you're like, how the heck am I going to be able to score a goal? Like, you do have those anxieties and concerns, like how am I going to get to that level? But it is a process and you have to trust it, and that's what I've done. And to have those moments, which, you know, that's what I love and that's what I try to make happen, is scoring goals and creating things. So those moments definitely give me confidence, and it's just about doing them consistently again, and you know, trying to help the team win. So yeah, it was really enjoyable to score, and also to score against Celtic. Yeah, it was good.
And hopefully many more of those moments to come, no less. In the next 2 games, we do have the return leg at Easter Road next week against Hungary. How much will it mean to you to potentially run out at Easter Road?
Yeah, it's class. I mean, Hibs, obviously, I have a great history with Hibs. That's where I kind of grew up. You know, my teenage years going through the Hibs team. So to play at Easter Road, I think I've only played there maybe once before. And it's such a class stadium as well. It's perfect for us. Like being in Edinburgh and it being close to Dunfermline, I know a lot of my family and friends are going to come over for it. So yeah, I'm super excited. It's hopefully going to be a good game, and we're going to be ready for it again.
Good afternoon and welcome back to the Falkirk Stadium. Scotland's under-23s currently lead Czechia 2-0. Thanks to goals from Mia Macaulay.
About to get underway in the second half, and half-time change for Czechia. Player coming off is number 8, Aneta Bojanova.
Change
Replaced by
Czechia
number
at
2,
the break.
Andrea
Aneta
Hola.
Bojanova is replaced by Andrea Hola. Number 2. Referee Abby Hendry about to get us going again. Scotland look to get further ahead, make this match a little more comfortable. And they have been put under pressure at times despite the scoreline. My name's Andrew Petrie, I'm joined by Joelle Murray. Joelle, you've had a bit of time to reflect. What did you make of that first half performance from Scotland, and what do you want to see in the second?
Yeah, a little bit of time, Andrew. I had Abby Harrison. We were catching up, chatting all things football and reminiscing. But yeah, I think reflecting on the first half, I think the girls started extremely well, extremely fast. There were some loose and wasteful moments that I'd like to see them tidy up on, but overall it was a very, very positive half.
Of course, Abby Harrison, former Hibs striker who was last in the Scotland squad last December. Plenty of competition up front with Martha Thomas and Kirsty Hansen. Jane Ross coming back in as well. And hopefully we see Martha Thomas and Kirsty Hansen on the scoreboard tomorrow night. It was Martha Thomas's goal against Hungary that's put Pedro Martinez Los's side in the driving seat in the Euros first round playoff. Finland or Montenegro will play the winners of Scotland-Hungary. So it's nodded back into a dangerous position by Leah Eddy. Ellie Adams closing down. We've talked about this team being full of talent. Of course, there's plenty of talent in the SWPL that's not in this under-23 squad. Lisa Rogers, who's currently in the under-19s, Celtic goalkeeper. She's been in and around this age grade before. Chloe Warrington at Glasgow City. Carly Girasoli, who's here today, unfortunately still on crutches as she recovers from a nasty injury. And Hearts defender almost certainly would have been in this squad, I think. One of the many young players that Eva Olid has brought through at Hearts. A couple on show today. Monica Forsyth, Ailey Short, former Hearts player Jenny Smith is. Mia Macaulay tries to roll it down the line for Emma Lawton, just didn't quite come off. Natalie Trichkova, one of the Slovako players in this Czechia lineup. Morgan Cross manages to intercept that, lays it off to Jenny Smith, tries to get it back in, and that was another chance created by Scotland's high press. And maybe if we're being harsh, Joelle, that really should have come to a goal.
Yeah, I think so. I think you could see off camera there, Morgan Cross making a fantastic run inside. She anticipated that, what can only be described as a criminal square pass, but like I said, should have been a goal.
Here's another opportunity for Ailey Adams. She doesn't need much room. She turns and fires the ball past the goalkeeper to give Scotland their third and an early goal in this second half. More than likely it seals the win in this friendly. And that just shows the kind of form that Ailey Adams is on. A chance really from nothing, but boy did she bury it well.
Yeah, Ailey Adams bringing her club form into today's game here at the Falkirk Stadium, and like you said, Andrew, a chance out of nothing. She does well to hold off the defender, swivel on the ball and finish low under the goalkeeper with her weaker left foot.
Like you were saying in the first half, Joel, I really don't envy Grant Scott's job of having to try and pick between Kathleen McGovern and Ailey Adams every week. That is some headache to have, a headache I'm sure most coaches would be envious of, though.
Yeah, it's a good headache, I suppose, when you've got players in form, and in certain positions, and certainly probably a headache that Michael McArdle and the staff on the touchline will face this afternoon, because there's 2 strikers on the bench, and Bailey Hutchison and Kathleen McGovern, who will be desperate to get on the pitch. However, Ailey will be wanting to stay on to try and get that hat trick.
And she's already scored a couple of hat tricks this season. Well, normally she gets 1 or 2 from the penalty spot. I imagine she'll be grabbing the ball if Scotland do get given a penalty in the second half, but we've got a chance from this throw-in on the far side. A good turn from Adams. Didn't have the cross to match as she tried to turn provider that time. I mentioned Hearts' impressive start. Got to mention Hibs as well. 4th place, currently above Celtic on goal difference, but Alina Siddiqui's side do have a game in hand. Joelle I mean, Hearts and Hibs have been pressing for a long time, but it seems that we're now starting to see the results against teams like Celtic and Rangers come in. Hearts obviously getting that historic win over Celtic. Hibs so unlucky to just draw with Rangers. Had that chance, of course, from the penalty spot to make it 2-0. Do you think this is a season where we really start to see a change?
Yeah, I think so. I think season upon season for the last few years, the competition has grown, is getting closer, and it can only be healthy for the league, healthy for the players playing within the league. And I think that trajectory will continue going into next season and beyond. And like you said, you're really seeing the gap closing. We were bitterly disappointed not to take all 3 points against Rangers just before the international break. I think possibly going into that game we would have been happy with the point, but the way the game played out, we felt like we were the better team, had the better opportunities, and unfortunately couldn't hold on for those 3 points. But it just reinforces and shows again that the gap is closer than ever.
Yeah, it was an Ailey Adams goal that had Hibs 1-0 ahead, another from the penalty spot. She had the chance to make it 2-0 from the penalty spot again, but had to redot the ball 5 or 6 times because of the wind. And in the end it was saved by Jenna Fife. Rangers scoring with almost the last touch of the game. Rio Hardy, no surprise, who's scoring for Rangers as well, able to capitalise on a loose ball after a free kick. So Hearts and Hibs really playing their way and challenging the established top 3. Of course, Partick Thistle continuing to impress after a good couple of years. And here is one of their youth products, Emma Lawton, bursting down the left, brilliant cut back, just cut out in the end by Clara Tverchkova. As the drizzle starts to fall in Falkirk. Maybe just adding a bit of slickness to the surface. Can Scotland zip it around? Here's Paige McAllister. She's not really had too many chances to come forward. She just loses the ball there. Of course, she's had a really interesting journey as Rachel Johnston comes well outside her box to deal with that when the ball comes back to Forsyth. Yes, Paige McAllister now playing her football over in Sweden at Eskilstuna United. 18 appearances for them this season. Like I say, came through at Celtic, had loan spells at Hearts, and in fact she's already carved her name into Hearts history. Don't want to remind you of this one, Joelle, but scoring the winner, the Jambo's first ever Edinburgh Derby win, Paige McAllister. Like I say, now plying her trade in Sweden, taking a slightly different route. And we've seen a couple of Scottish players do that, Joelle. Do you think how beneficial has that been? That move been to Paige McAllister?
Yeah, I think it's been really beneficial for her. I remember coaching her at the East Regional squads, and she was always a standout. She was always a player that was very driven, wanted to play at the top with the best players, and she obviously experienced SWPL football before making the move to Sweden, and it's a move that saw a number of players do the same. Hayley Lauder, Jane Ross, Shannon Lynn, Fiona Brown, to name a few. And I think when you look at both leagues, they're quite similar. So it just re-enhances and reinforces that decision for players to do that.
Of course, she comes from a sporting family as well, and she's got to watch here, because this is a real chance for Czechia. McAllister putting pressure, but she's unable to stop Anna Shubertova. Getting one back for the visitors. A good finish in the end. It's just an awkward ball over the top. Rachel Johnston thought about coming, decided to stay. McAllister, the ball just spinning away from her, right into the path of Anna Shubertova. It must be said, finished well. 3-1 now to Scotland, and a little reminder that Czechia are still very much in this game.
Yeah, absolutely. A disappointing goal to lose from a Scotland perspective. It was essentially Route 1 football, a long ball deceiving the back line. We unfortunately don't have the beauty of replays, Andrew, so it's difficult to say how that kind of situation came about. But yeah, I don't think Michael McArdle or Leanne Crichton or Stuart Hall or any of the staff on the bench will be happy with conceding that one.
And of course, clean sheets are very important. Scotland have just lost theirs. That will be a blow for Rachel Johnston and that Scotland back line. Johnston has kept 5 clean sheets for Hearts so far this season. Just a reminder, you've got to look alive as Jenna Penman is called back to the Scotland bench now. She was only called into the squad late last night, replacing Amy Muir, who has captained the under-23s on most occasions. Of course, another who has already made her full debut for Scotland, Amy Muir. Jenna Penman now receiving instructions from Michael McArdle down on this near touchline. It's a bit of a strange situation, I suppose, being called into the squad so late on. She has played plenty of Scotland age grade football before. She's no stranger to it, but how will she react to kind of being thrown in now, and especially with this scoreline, with Czechia just having scored?
Yeah, it's a strange one. However, Jen, as a player that Leanne Crichton in particular knows very well, being at Motherwell. Jen is a player, like you said, who's very familiar with the youth national teams, has had an abundance of exposure at SWPL level, through Aberdeen, through Hibs, through Hearts, and currently now Motherwell. So she's a player that it won't phase her when she takes to the pitch, and will only strengthen the Scotland team.
It's been a decent season for Motherwell so far. They were the best of the rest last year in the SWPL under Paul Brownlee. They'll want to kick on. Partick Thistle have really shown what could be done. It's Mia McCauley. Somehow doesn't win a free kick, but she does win a corner. Another darting run on the left-hand side, which ends in the set piece. We've seen the kind of deliveries that she can provide, but this time it just goes short. Jenny Smith knocks it back. Emma Lawton to try and clip from a more central position. Leah Eddy flicks on. And Adams unable to get onto the end of it. I'm not sure if that was a routine that they'd worked on, but it almost worked for Scotland.
Yeah, almost did. They'll of course have been working on routines on the training pitch all camp, and looking to implement them today. But like you said, unsure whether that was one of them or not, but certainly nearly got something from it.
And Lawton quite happy to just watch that one out of play. Like I've said, I've touched on the fact that she's made her Champions League bout already. Obviously, Joelle, it's a competition that you've played in yourself. How important is it to see some younger Scottish players getting their first real experience of European football?
Yeah, it's really important. I think there's no denying Emma's start at Celtic has probably been a dream. She probably couldn't have imagined the start, Champions League debut, Champions League goal, playing clubs like Real Madrid. An absolute dream for any player, never mind a young player. And she's taken it all in her stride. She looks very professional.
Well, just a bit of afters there between Mia Macaulay and Jana Zufankova, who goes into the book. I think that's probably fair enough. This is a friendly, but that wasn't too friendly at all from the Czech forward. Macaulay just blocking that free kick being taken quickly, a little bit cheeky from the Rangers winger. Zufankova overreacting. We get our first bookings of the day. As Albina Goretkiova prepares to swing this one in. It's clipped in, it was a dangerous one. Rachel Johnson read the flight of the ball well. Just a risk that could have bounced through for Klara Čvrkova. For Scythe. Through the lines to Emma Lawton, but it's a heavy touch. And again, Czechia win it back. Jenny Smith with the foul. The game just becoming a little stop-start in this second 45. Will that suit Scotland or will that suit Czechia a bit better? They seem to have frustrated their hosts a bit in the last 5 minutes.
Yeah, I think it'll suit Czechia better. Not allowing Scotland to get into their stride, gain momentum. They're just looking to break up play at every opportunity, and we need to try and nullify that and get the ball in play as much as. There we go again, another example of break and play, but we need to get the ball down and play as much as possible to regain that positive momentum.
It's Ailey Austin who's taken a sore, and there's going to be 3 Scotland substitutes on the way.
Triple change coming up for
Here
Scotland.
they come now.
Off is
Leah
number 5,
Eddy is replaced
by number 3, Jenna Penman.
Jenna Penman, who comes on to make her under-23s bout. Intrigued to see who the captain's armband goes to as well. And behind her, we've got another Rangers flyer, Jodie McCleary, as well as a player we talked about
number 10,
a little
Jenny
earlier,
Smith, has been replaced
Maria
by number
McInerney.
16, Maria
Intrigued to
McInerney.
see where she goes. She's replacing Jenny Smith, so it looks like she might be in that number 10 position. It looks like Jodie McCleary is wearing the armband as well. Just trying to see who's being taken off in her place.
Finally, coming
Monica
off is number
Forsyth.
7, Monica
So maybe a
Forsyth.
slightly more central role
Replaced
for
by
Jodie
number
McCleary,
8,
who kind of
Jodie
broke through as a
McCleary.
winger, but of late has been playing a little bit more essentially for Rangers. Of course, Joe Potter has a plethora of attacking options to try and choose from. We talked about the headache that Grant Scott has. Try and pick from Kirsty Howitt, Katie Wilkinson and Rio Hardy every week, as well as Macaulay and McCleary as well. Not an easy task at all. Johnson just picks out Lawton, who had to hold her hand up to try and block out the floodlights. It's not quite worked as Czechia regain the ball. Kiova slaps her hands on the turf in frustration. Emma Lawton wins the free kick. Master just plays it quickly. So Jenna Penman's just slotted into the centre of defence. See another who can play in a couple of positions. That was maybe her downfall at Hearts, just couldn't quite break into the side properly. Got chances here and there. Of course, she was at Hibs as well, with Joel. Were you surprised to see her make the move to Motherwell in the summer?
Yeah, surprised. However, I think at the end of the season for Hearts, she wasn't getting the game time she wanted, so I think the move came about because she wanted to play football, and she appreciated that she probably wasn't going to get that or as much of that at Hearts, so fair play to her for moving. She's working under Paul Brownlee and Leanne Crichton, 2 fantastic coaches, and 2 coaches who I know will get the best out of Jenna, and of course I know her from her time at Hibs, and she's always a person and a player who's willing to work, so receptive and willing to learn, and I know she'll get that opportunity at Motherwell.
It's Austin coming forward from the far side, drills it low, it's spilt by the keeper initially, but Polakova able to gather at the second attempt with Ailey Adams lurking dangerously. Of course, looking for the hat-trick, wants to take that match ball home. I think Penman, a real statement of intent as a signature from Motherwell. That's given away by Ailey Shore. Heavy touch though from Shubertova. She's able to work it to Zufankova. Tries to get away from Shore, who's just an awkward presence there. Pulled back though nicely. Jodie McCleary back doing her defensive work to stop Teresa Cherna. Ball comes across now for Trichkova. Good touch. Emma Lawton and McCauley able to work it. Maria McInerney getting her first touch of the game. It's not a good one though. And Scotland just under the cosh a little in the last 5 minutes as the ball breaks to Andrea Holla, and that's an unlucky one because there's a real chance there. They had the numbers on the right hand side. The referee just pulls it back.
Yeah, I think Scotland are quite fortunate on that occasion, Andrew. I didn't see much in that one at all. But thankfully the referees called the foul and relieved the pressure, and a little bit wasteful from Scotland over the last 5 or 10 minutes. I don't think Michael McArdle or the staff will be too happy with the performance levels at the moment. We need to get our foot on the ball and start playing through the thirds like we showed in the first half.
Well, you touched on Leanne Crichton, one of the assistant coaches this afternoon. Stuart Hall, and you know well as well, Hibs assistant coach to Grant Scott, and he's one of the assistants here today. Of course, as well as young players coming through in the SWPL. Also need to see young coaches, and he's one of them. Brilliant ball over the top. Jenna Penman has a lot of work to do. Ailey Austin just getting caught up there with Teresa Cherna, and I think that free kick has somehow gone to Scotland, but I was absolutely certain that was going to be a Czechia penalty.
Yes, as was I. I can't believe, thankful, but can't believe she's given the free kick to Scotland, because I think for me that had penalty written all over it. And again, another example of Scotland being wasteful and a little bit sloppy and allowing Czechia another opportunity in this game.
I suppose, what can you do there when you're caught behind? Obviously Cherna was goal side of Ailey Austin. I mean, she's won the free kick, but I don't think that was probably what she should have done. I think she was quite lucky to get away with it. Was it just a case of putting on pressure and making sure that she knows that you're there?
Yeah, that's all you can do, Andrew. Sorry, I was waiting to see how that one played out. But yeah, that's all you can do in that situation as a defender. As soon as an attacking player enters the box, it's very difficult to make any sort of contact, so you need to show your presence and do as much as you can to put the opposing player off.
Scotland almost hitting straight back, an awkward one for Adela Holikova to try and deal with. Risky pass from Lawton, but it comes off. Austin goes down. This time it's clearly a free kick to Scotland, and I think Cherna's going to go into the book as well to make matters a little worse. It's gotten a little bit spicier this game in the second half. A couple challenges starting to fly in. Czechia maybe unlucky to not win that penalty just a few moments ago. And if they had gotten it and converted it, suddenly Scotland's lead is just 1 goal. Of course, they'll need to show a good mentality. It may be a friendly, but to lose a 3-goal lead would be disastrous for Michael McArdle's side. Maria McInerney has the chance to put this ball in. Again, Morgan Cross just standing in that offside position. Ailey Shore, Paige McAllister, Penman and Ailey Adams all up there. This time Scotland try and work it down the blind side, but I think they're going to get a second go at it. I guess that little ruse has been rumbled by the referee, somewhat ruined as well. I think Jodie McCleary was interfering with the wall. I think that's what the decision was for, is McEnany this time aims for the far post. Adams tries to chest it down, back into the middle, and Czechia are able to clear. Joelle, did she just have to try and hit the target there?
Yeah, I think very unselfish there from Ailey Adams. I don't know if she appreciated how much time and space she had when the ball arrived at her, because she certainly had time and space to bring it down and then get a shot on target. But yeah, I think she'll definitely wish she can replay that situation again, Andrew.
Andrea Hall up, just blocked off by Maria McEnany there. Again, Scotland able to get it clear. Route 1 from Ailey Short. But Cross and Adams were never going to get to that. Czechia will just try and work this. And we've talked a lot about the players in the Scotland squad. One player I was a little surprised maybe he wasn't in the squad is midfielder who's done fantastically for Hibs so far this season, Michaela McAloney. Joel, how impressed have you been with her start to the season? Obviously she's been an important player for Hibs for a couple of years now, but she really seems to have stepped up this year.
Yeah, she has indeed, and I think the last few camps I've been really surprised not to see her name on the squad list, if I'm being honest, Andrew. I think week in, week out, she gives you at least a 7. She's extremely consistent, and for me, she's a player that would be in my starting 11 all day long. So yeah, I think it would be really nice to see Mickey's name in the next camp list, because I think it's certainly the least she deserves.
The Hibs player who is in camp is about to come on is Tegan Bowie. And she is joined by Bailey Hutchison in taking to the pitch. So no hat-trick today for Ailey Adams, unfortunately, but she continues her good goal-scoring form. I'm sure that will be to the delight of Grant Scott, who's here today.
Bailey Hutchison.
SWPL comes back next weekend. Bailey Hutchison, one for her. Tegan Bowie replacing Mia McCauley. Of course, Bowie, who got a taste of what international football is like at such a young age. She was called up, aged just 18. Hasn't been called up again since, but has joined Hibs from Celtic and really kicked on. She's got a chance here, and she scores with her very first touch. Well, that's one way to make an introduction. Tegan Bowie gets on the end of the cross and fires Scotland's 4th in. What a brilliant impact from Tegan Bowie. She couldn't have dreamt that better.
Amazing impact there from Tegan. Very instinctive at the back post. She knows the ball's coming over, and she makes sure she's in the right place at the right time. And her first touch, and she gets a goal, and like you said, probably couldn't appreciate or anticipate a better start.
Well, I was just about to say how vital she's been to Hibs. She's been almost ever present so far. Brilliant impact for Scotland this afternoon.
Scotland number 17, Tegan Bowie.
Scotland's 5th change of the day. The bench almost cleared. Just Kathleen McGovern, Jasmine Gould, and of course Aaron Clacker's left remaining as Jana Tufankova beats McAllister to the ball, wins it, and slides it across. And Czechia coming close to finding a second goal there as McCleary flies into the back of Nathalie Trichkova. They say you're most vulnerable just after scoring. That was almost the case there for Scotland.
It was indeed. I've been on the receiving end of many of those situations, and you absolutely are. And thankfully Morgan Cross recovers well on the edge of the box to relieve the pressure and regain the ball for Scotland.
We saw Morgan Cross mainly really play as an out-and-out striker for Motherwell last season. she's out on the wing today, and she's kind of been here and there for Celtic. Do you see her as more of a number 9 or more of a winger?
Yeah, I think a number 9. Before our move to Celtic, we played against Motherwell. She played through the middle before having to come off with quite a bad injury, but she caused us a number of issues from that central area, running in behind, coming short, taking it to feet. So for me, I've seen Morgan playing her best in the central area. However, she can also play in those wide areas, which again adds to the number of those players who are so versatile.
2 changes for Czechia to bring you as well. Klara Sverchkova, the Czech international, comes off, and the captain as well, as does Natalie Trichkova. And they're replaced by Klara Wahova and Denisa Unasova. Can they have as instant an impact as Tegan Bowie did for Scotland? We'll have to wait and see. Going back to Michaela Macoloni, she's really had to step up after the departure of Shannon McGregor, who left for Celtic in the summer and has really already seen that move vindicated as she was called into the Scotland squad for the very first time for these playoff fixtures. Were you surprised to see Shannon make such an instant impact at Celtic and then go on to get her Scotland honours?
Not surprised, no, with the impact she had at Celtic, because Shannon has quality in abundance. The thing I was surprised more at was the fact that she wasn't in the A squad before now, because I think her performances for us last season certainly merited that call up. But I'm absolutely delighted. She's of course not at Hibs anymore, but she's a really good friend, and I'm absolutely delighted for her.
We'll see if she can get her debut cap tomorrow night. How much would it mean to get it at Easter Road as well? Player who's added goals and assists to her game. That was the plan when she moved to Celtic in the summer. Looks like Scotland are going to make another change as well. I think it's going to be Jasmine Bull. One of 2 non-SWPL players in the squad today. McInerney picks up on the far side. Knocks it back for Austin. Just has the ball taken off her toes, but Ailey Shore wins it back. Thought about the shot, but then just passed. Of course, she scored from about that range, I think, for Hearts in there. Derby win at Easter Road earlier in the season, a 4-0 win, which Monica Forsyth was also on the score sheet. Jodie McCleary.
Double substitution for
Here comes a double sub, in fact.
Number 6, Paige McAllister, replaced by number 14,
replaced
Jasmine Bull.
by Jasmine Bull. And Kathleen McGovern will be the other change.
And coming off is
Morgan Cross
13, Morgan
coming
Cross,
off.
replaced by number
Perhaps
9,
a slight
Kathleen
change of formation
McGovern.
for Scotland as well there. Looks like Penman and Austin are the 2 centre halves, with Jasmine Bull playing as a right back. McInerney and Short, the 2 central midfielders, and McCleary and Bowie out wide, with Hutchinson and McGovern up top. Back to basics, a 4-4-2. Lovely turn from Anna Shubertova. She tries the long ball over the top, and Jasmine Bull involved for the very first time. Knocks it back to Johnston, but sells it short. Johnston has to make the save. Sufankova able to work it back. Holla got it across to Gorekiova. Johnston got down to make the save. Just a nervy start for Jasmine Bull, probably not what she wanted at all after coming on.
Yeah, I was thinking the same. It's not the first touch that Jasmine Bull would have liked. However, Rachel Johnson done well to relieve the situation, come out and smother the ball, and we regained possession.
Bull, a player at Bristol City who played 9 times in the WSL last season, the top flight of English football and one of the best leagues in the world. Of course, she started her career south of the border, but I wanted to ask Joelle, how difficult is it to try and time that move away from the nest? Obviously, we've seen Kathleen McGovern leave Celtic and go to Germany, end up coming back, but then we've seen players like Lauren Davidson who's kind of made the move to Norway. It looks like hopefully it'll work out for her there. So how do you know kind of when it's time to maybe try something different, and maybe you've kind of outgrown the SWPL?
Yeah, I think it's really difficult to know when the time's right. I think in Lauren's case, she was really content with what she had achieved in the SWPL with her time at Hibs and of course Glasgow City, and wanted a new challenge. I think there's really different kind of logistics that you need to think about. I think if you do move away, I think it's important to settle well quick and early off the pitch, because that's a massive factor. If you don't get that, you kind of take that unsettlement onto the pitch. So I think it comes from player to player and how well you settle in, but you've seen, as I say, Lauren Davidson do that fantastically well, really thrive abroad now, and it's really good to see.
Jenna Clark, another who left City and joined Liverpool, the WSL, doing well down there, and now a firm fixture in the full Scotland side. As Jasmine Bull won the corner for Scotland, an opportunity for them to get a fifth. Whipped into McEnany. Lawton was flying, couldn't get her head onto it. And Austin doing well to hold off the attention of Jonasova. Shubertova. Austin able to get away from the Czech goal scorer. Penman. And Scotland just trying to calm this game down a little. So there was 10 or 20 minutes there where it all got a little hectic, and Czechia scored and looked like they might push on for a second, but Tegan Bowie's goal has settled it somewhat. Bailey Hutchison definitely fouled there. Scotland will have a chance from this central free kick. You talked about the physicality of Bailey Hutchison before, Joelle. I know when she signed for Hearts, Ava Leeds called her a unique striker. Is there anyone out there similar to Bailey Hutchison?
I don't know. I don't think so. Not similar attributes, but nothing directly compared to Bailey. As I said, playing against her, she was always a difficult opponent because you didn't know if she was going to stay high, give length to the game and pin you, or drop deep into the pocket of space. And when she done that, if you went with her, she had a very deceiving turn of pace to then turn and exploit the space in behind. So yeah, there's, in my opinion, nobody that directly compares to her, and that's obviously a massive strength for her.
Bowie does well to get it in. It comes to McGovern, sits nicely, and Scotland do have their fifth. Brilliant work from Tegan Bowie to find Kathleen McGovern. The Hibs connection pays off. She was never really going to miss from there, was she?
No, she absolutely wasn't. McGov's very clinical in those situations, so there was no way that she wasn't going to, the outcome wasn't going to be anything other than a goal. And it's pleasing to see, like you said, the Hibs connection. Tegan doing really well on the left wing and assisting McGov for our second goal of this camp.
And it looked like that set piece opportunity maybe died a death. McCleary and McEnany trying to work something that didn't really come off at all, but Tegan Bowie doing so well to keep that ball alive, to keep the chance on. A chance to talk about Kathleen McGovern. I know that Hearts would have been especially gutted to lose both her and Kira Grant, especially to their nearest rivals. But 11 games, 11 goals for Kathleen McGovern. It's a move that's really paid off.
Yeah, she was hampered by a few injuries last season at Hearts and didn't really get the momentum that she would have liked. And an opportunity came available, and we certainly wanted to speak with her and kind of sell the vision at Hibs, and thankfully for us, she opted to come across the city and play in green and white.
McInerney, good touch, and she tries to find Tegan Bowie. Didn't come off though. Michael McCardle applauding the vision regardless. Scotland now with this 5-1 lead. It's in truth not really been as comfortable as that, but Scotland have been quite clinical when they've been able to get the ball into the box. McInerney finds Jasmine Bull. Comes back to the Celtic midfielder Jodie McCleary, loads of room. She just tried to curl for the top corner, never on target, but did well to find a real pocket of space there. Of course, we used to see a couple more players from south of the border in this squad. Rachel Brown, who was at Sheffield United when she used to play in this squad, she's now at Southampton. Charlotte Newsham as well. At Charlton, 2 fullbacks. As Scotland try and cast the net far and wide to find some Scottish qualified players. Niamh Murphy was in this squad. She's not in the matchday squad today though. Blackburn Rovers defender, former Manchester United Academy graduate. McInerney closing down well. Bit of a sore one for Denisa Tenkratova. But this has been a largely very encouraging performance for Scotland. I know, like I said, Grant Scott, I know Joe Potter's here as well. They must be impressed with how their charges have done this afternoon.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a good kind of SWPL presence in terms of managers here today. Eve Olid and obviously Grant and Joe. And like you said, we'll be delighted with how their players have performed. And we'll be looking to get them back to domestic duty in a healthy and fit state.
Ailey Austin just loses the ball there, but thankfully for her and for Scotland, bounced kindly to Jenna Penman, and Teresa Cherna couldn't get on the end of it. There's been a sore one down near the halfway line, but play goes on. Sufankova, probably been the most dangerous player in a red shirt this afternoon. Cross comes in from Denisa Yunusova, and now play finally does stop for that injury near the halfway line. Thankfully it doesn't look too bad as Czechia prepare their next change. Agneta Tomanova. Now play will just take a little break as medical treatment is doled out. Some Scotland players can take on fluids. Leah Eddy chucking water onto her teammates. I suppose, obviously captain today, Leah Eddy, how important is it for her to kind of get that leadership role again and kind of wear the captain's armband?
Yeah, it's really important for her and our development. She was exposed to that a good number of times last season with us, so she's well aware of the duties that the armband brings. So yeah, I think she'll be happy to have worn that for large parts of today's game, and just looking to build on her performances and her kind of captaincy skills as well.
And there is that change. Albina Goretkiova. It's been a busy afternoon for Czechia in the heart of midfield.
For Czechia coming off is number
Tomanova
17,
coming on.
Albina Goretkiova, and she's replaced by number 10, Agneta Tomanova.
Thankfully, it looks like Anna Shubertova will be able to continue. The Czechs goal scorer in the second half. They have provided Stiff competition for Scotland. I'm sure players all out there will have learned something today, particularly about game management as well. As Lawton goes long, trying to find McEnany in behind, and it's a successful ball. She gets it low, good touch from Hutchison, lays it off. It's McCleary who drives, it's deflected and cleared away. Very unselfish from Bailey Hutchison there. I thought she would try and turn and go for goal. Instead, almost laid it off to the edge of the box. Did you expect that pass from Bailey Hutchison?
No, I didn't expect it, because she is a typical number 9, a typical striker, very selfish, and quite rightly so. But I think she appreciated the situation that she was in. She took the ball well, she received it well, and difficult in that situation to turn and get a clean strike. So I think on that occasion, she probably made the right decision.
3 minutes of additional time to be played here at Falkirk Stadium. Scotland with a 5-1 lead. It'll be by far their biggest win at this age level. They'd beaten Denmark 3-1 over the summer. And in the very first under-23 game against Panama, they won 2-0, although really that was a Scotland side in all but name. Abby Harrison on the score sheet that day, alongside Jenna Clark. As Shevchenkova tries to turn, a really physical battle that she's offered the Scotland backline this afternoon. Jenna Penman forced into the foul. Czechia will have a late free kick to try and find what would be a consolation goal. I suppose we're well into player of the match territory, Joelle. Rather sprung that on you, but is there anyone standing out for you today?
Yeah, absolutely did spring that on me, Andrew. So thanks for that. But I think for me, Ailey Adams certainly took her 2 goals well, came off the pitch. So I think if we're looking at players who stayed on the pitch and performed to very good levels, I think Emma Lawton's got to be up there for that award today.
Well, there we go. We picked out Emma Lawton, Ailey Adams and Mia McCauley before the game, and they really lived up to expectations, thankfully for us, and thankfully for Scotland as well. And just another little pause in play. Scotland have an injury on the far side. The physio's ready and waiting to go on, but doesn't look like they're being called across just yet. I suppose, Joelle, how encouraging has this performance been for Michael McArdle, and perhaps as well for Pedro Martinez-Losa watching on?
Yeah, I'm sure Pedro Martinez-Losa will be watching on quite closely. I know that they had their matchday -1 session today at Easter Road, so if he's not been able to watch live, I know he'll certainly be keeping a close eye on footage afterwards. But I think a very encouraging performance. We're truly blessed at this age group, truly blessed with talent, and I don't think it'll be long before we see a couple of these players playing A squad level in the near future.
Absolutely, and it's often a complaint of the men's game in Scotland, not enough young Scottish players getting their chance. It's not the case at all in the SWPL. Every weekend, like I say, a plethora of young homegrown players impressing week in, week out. And the league this season certainly more exciting than I can recall in the early stages, maybe than ever before. And there goes the full-time whistle from referee Abby Hendry. And in the end, a comprehensive victory for Scotland. The scoreline maybe not entirely reflective of the game. Czechia put up a good fight. The hosts were 2-0 up at half-time thanks to an early goal from Mia McCauley. And Ailey Adams grabbing her first of the afternoon. She got her second. Just a couple of minutes into that second half, 2 goals for the Hibs striker for the day. That made it 3-0. Czechia got one back. It was Anna Schubertova getting on the end of a Route 1 ball, firing past Rachel Johnston to give the Czechs a lifeline. To be fair, they pressed for a second, but it was Tegan Bowie who really sealed the game to make it 4-1, scoring with her very first touch of the afternoon. And Kathleen McGovern wrapping up the scoring. So there you go, 4 goals from Hibs players today. 1 from Rangers winger Mia Macaulay. Brilliant result for Michael McCardle's side. They'll have learnt a lot from this one. Like I say, more young Scottish talent impressing again on the home stage. The final score at Falkirk Stadium, Scotland 5, Czechia 1.